so mad. I was so mad at him. But, and there's so much shit went down that night. It was horrible. It was just horrible. But I'm losing my voice now.
Welcome, everyone, to This Was the Scene, the podcast that takes a look back at the late 90s, early 2000 punk scene. I am your host, Mike Doyle. Before we begin, feel free to support the podcast if you've been listening for a while and want to by going to patreon.com/thiswasthescene. You can sign up for $1 a month. It's the only option I have, and that's very helpful and great. Pillow was a band from New Jersey that basically started off in the clubs and then bled into the local scene where they were playing Legion Halls and all of that stuff. There's literally fucking nothing online about this band except for 2 YouTube videos, and then their songs are on the NJPP archives. And that's all I've got for this intro. So you're going to learn about them based on listening to the podcast. So I'm just going to go into that. Thank you to Anthony Annoyance for letting me know how to find Christina on Facebook since she's all stealth mode. And I got the Toast on the Skype, and this is what we chat about. The origins of Toast, in her name, still having their practice space, Puncture Point Records, playing on Warped Tour, the YouTube video that she hates, recording at Portrait Studios, the infamous bathroom story, which was kept out of the Blue Channel interview, so now we get to hear what actually happened, a possible new album, and a ton more. This week's sponsor is Mint 400 Records. Mint 400 Records is an indie record label from New Jersey with bands across the United States, Canada, and Europe. The label features everything from indie rock and folk to post-punk and soul. Over 370 exciting releases. You can find Mint 400 Records releases streaming at Spotify, Pandora, Tidal, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Deezer, and more, or at all MP3 outlets worldwide. Visit mint400records.com for links and more info. Here's a clip from the song Rooftops by the band Ruby Bones.
It's a nightmare, it's a goddamn tragedy. There's a danger in the doorway, and it's all you'll ever see. You see, I remember in the autumn underneath.
Thanks again, Neil, for your support in the podcast and getting all these ads all the time. Another way you can support the podcast is by checking out my company, drive80.com. I do these realtor stickers, so if you're a realtor, you can buy some for your Instagram stories. You can just go to drive80.com, drive80.com, and you can click on the button that says Instagram stickers. And you can do that, or you can get an explainer video if your company is quite large and has a hard time explaining what you do. Lastly, 2 other ways you can support the podcast. 1, you could donate one time on thiswasthescene.com and just hit that purple button on the top of the website. 2, you could buy merch at thiswasthescene.com, and that would be great. Feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with anyone who would love some punk rock nostalgia. With that said, let's get started. Let me open up my questions here. So I was trying to do some research on you guys,
Oh,
and
God. Yes.
there's like nothing out there, and there's you have songs on the NJPP archive, so your
Right.
two albums there, but there's really nothing online. So the reason I'm pointing this out is just because some guy gave me shit today on like my pod. He did this like podcast review, and he's like, "I can't believe you fucking didn't know something." I was like, "Bro, there's usually nothing out there about the bands I'm talking to, so I'm like learning about this stuff on the fly." So that guy can get fucked. And I wanted to start with that. So real quick, I was talking to Anthony Annoyance, and
Okay.
I was like, what is your last name? Because you have a different name on Facebook. And I was like, why does she have some different names? He's like, well, I think because of her career, she wants to stay kind of hidden. So I don't really want to blow up your Facebook name spot, and I don't really want to say what you do if that is the case.
Oh, that is the case.
Okay. But how did the whole toast thing come about?
It's so interesting that you asked that question because as I sit here, so I mean, I don't know if we want to tell people that I actually have COVID right now, but I am recovering and I am well, very mild symptoms, and I'm glad to have this over and done with. But as I sit in my self-isolation room, I think about this all sort of started, Christina Toast, right? That's what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, initially, way back in the day, way back in the day, I was going to write a children's book, and the book was about a piece of toast, and the piece of toast was named Christina, okay? And this piece of toast was going to be, back in the day, I was like so into nutrition. I still am now, but I was like way into it and like working out and being healthy and eating good. And this piece of toast was going to be this model of health, and she was going to be wheat toast. And then there were all different types of toast, for like all sorts of representation within this children's book. And it's interesting that you're asking me that now, because like 20 something years later, I'm like, yeah, I still didn't write that book. And I'm like thinking in my infinite boredom here, I really should get on that. And so, it's been something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I'm not even quite sure if that answered the question of how that
Yeah.
name came about.
It clearly states how that name came about. Well, you created the name, but how did you attach it to yourself? And at what point did you do that?
You know what? That's so long ago. I don't even know if I can answer it. I had my boyfriend at the time was in a band called the Well Curbs. I don't know. They were not really in the scene that we were in. They were in a little bit of a different scene. But being of Italian descent. Everything was like Christina, Angelina, Tostina, all these things. So we would like call each other all these names, and I don't know. I really don't know where the toast came from. I don't know if it was something that he sort of normalized, if you will, in a way. A lot of people, of course, was always, their first thought when you hear like, oh, I'm toasted, man. It's like, oh, well, she must smoke a lot of pot, smokes a lot of weed, like, which is like completely the polar opposite, which I really don't at all ever. If anything, I probably would venture more now than I would have
In
ever
your boredom.
yeah, my boredom just now, more than I would have ever back then. So that was never the case. It was never a substance kind of issue. It was really more about a little piece of toast, and how it attached it to myself. It just happened. I don't have a concrete answer. It just kind of manifested over time, I guess. I don't know. And then voila, there it was.
Well, because Anthony had reached out to me. When was this? He had suggested to contact you or contact Pillow and do an interview, and I was like, dude, I've had you guys on my list for probably 2 years now. Like
Oh, that's great. I love that.
in the beginning of this thing, it was all focused on Jersey,
Right.
and I wrote a list of, I think, 10 or 15 people that I wanted to get on the podcast, and I think I got everyone on there. And then after, because that was just like the top of mind. All right, Humble Beginnings, Boxcar, Bigwig, like all the bands that we'd play with a lot.
Right.
And then I started doing a bit of a deep dive in my brain. I'm like, who fucking else can I think of? I was like, oh, dude, Pillow. Because then I started thinking too. I was like, this is because a lot of episodes in, I was like, okay, this is just a lot of dudes, and it's not like out of like I was thinking of it. I was like, I really need to get more females on here and talk about their perspective because I don't want people to think I'm just like making this like a boys club. And I think that was the connection. I was like, all right, what other Jersey bands or bands do I know? And I was like, fucking Pillow. And I had the most pain in the ass time trying to find any information. And all of a sudden, there was some post recently in the NJ Facebook group, and then your name pops up, your surname, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? And then Anthony is like, yeah, that's Christina. I was like, fucking finally. And so here we are talking about
Well, look, it took me long
COVID.
enough. So it's interesting again that you bring this up because I'm sure I'm not the only person that is guilty of this, laying in bed at night at like 3 a.m. and like just like stalking Facebook and scrolling through all sorts of social media.
Oh yeah.
And so it just so happened, I have I fall asleep very easily, but sometimes staying asleep is not the easiest. And so if I wake up, oh, here we are, the phone's right next to the bed, I'm kind of always like, let me go see what's happening. And I don't know how I stumbled on the NJ scene because I really had no knowledge of that. And again, I kind of keep it very on the DL on Facebook. And I guess I don't necessarily need to as much as I did years ago. It's kind of like, who cares? But I don't know. I tend to be somewhat of a private person, and I don't really, and it's funny because I actually, kind of accepted a lot of friendships from this like recent encounter that, I hadn't had before, which was great. But I was just like, oh my God, then everybody knows everybody who knows everybody. And not that, what am I doing on Facebook? I hardly ever post anymore, but I always like to keep it like a little less than more. I feel like my business is my business. But with all that being said, so I find this NJ scene and I'm like, oh my God. And I start seeing all the bands that we kind of hung out with and I start get very like excited. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to post something. I'm going to post something. And then before you know it, boom, it kind of took off, I guess, because we haven't been heard of, I guess, since then. So it was very interesting. I got to reconnect with a lot of good friends. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, that's like the cool part about this is that people who had that personal connection, they're reconnecting with friends from back then. What's funny though that you were like, it's hilarious to me that you did very well, or you don't really live on social media. You're more of what is it like the stalker? What are the? Is that it? Yeah, like a Facebook stalker, like where you just kind of hide in the shadows and just read shit. You don't like or comment and stuff. But in the group, you've been super active lately, and then now you're getting interviewed. So it's like you went from hiding to being like, here you are, like enough of
Exactly.
you. Yeah. But even it's like you have to be really paying attention in that group to realize who you are. Where you're located on Facebook. But it's also funny to me that you are like that because again, being in a band and fronting a band, did you have a different mindset back then when you started performing? And was there something later on where you're like, I don't want to really be in a spotlight, or like I don't want to be people to notice me, or was that still the same then, but you would just show up and play, but then you were like, all right, that's all I needed.
Okay. So there's like so many layers to that question because honestly, I am definitely, obviously, being a front person, outgoing, right? So I was probably, aside from Chris Babb, uh, probably one of the most outgoing personality in the band. Everybody else was very much kind of a little bit more demure, if you will. But I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just different. I wasn't in a band on Facebook at that point, so I don't really feel again the need. It's different. It's just like a different vibe. That's like my personal life, and that's different than promoting a record or promoting a show or that's totally different. And I don't mind sharing my personal life with people because all the connections that I've made thus far have been so super positive and great, and I'm so happy that I was able to connect. I guess that's kind of that's to me where I think I draw the line of separation, the difference.
Well, I think too, it kind of makes sense. Maybe I'm just kind of it might be a stretch here, but when you're playing a show, you're in one confined room with back then there was like a large percentage of the people that go into shows. We were the same people going to the multiple shows, and then like a couple people would come in from somewhere, they'd be new, and then the crowds would be bigger. There was a good amount of people that were a staple to go into shows. So you almost think about it like you going to play a show back then. You were in this room that you were like, okay, cool, like people know me, and I'm cool with where I'm at in this little box. Metaphorically now within the Jersey pop punk group, it's kind of the same thing
Right.
almost, right? It's like taking
Yeah.
that crap and putting it online. And also, it's a private group, so you have to like we have a form for you to fill out to get in now. Even though Jay like let a ton of people in over the summer, and then these fucking idiots just started doing these comments and posts about shit. We're like, all right, we got to clean house here. This is getting a bit rambunctious.
Agreed.
Talk about growing up in Jersey and how you found the scene. Did you find the scene because of the band that started playing shows, or did you find the scene and then created a band to play shows in the scene?
I think I found bands first. I always loved music. When I was in high school, I wanted to start like an R&B band. Don't ask me why. I was kind of into that music back in the day.
Christina and the
And I was like,
Toasts.
yeah, it's Christina the Toast, man. We're going to be like, the three, and that never went anywhere. But I guess after high school and such, you branch out much more. I started to kind of really, and again, like I said, I was always interested in music and I used to go to shows constantly, like constantly. And I don't necessarily mean, I mean, I went to any show. Back then, it was Hoboken was something that I went on a weekly basis. We were at Maxwell's, we were at Love Sexy, we were like, I can't even remember some of the other places we played. Live Tonight. Places don't even exist anymore. And that was like our biggest kind of area where we hung out. And so watching other bands that I can't even remember really motivated me to start my own band. And so at some point I put an ad in the Aquarian, that wonderful newspaper. And that was how I met Steve Whitner, the guitar player. And so we kind of met through an ad in the paper, and the two of us kind of started just meeting up and jamming together. And initially it was just the two of us. Like legit, the two of us. We didn't even have a drummer. And so we just started renting space and practicing and writing music. And then we recorded some really interesting music back in the day with some random drummer, recorder person. And then we started building the band from there. But Steve and I are, the original. We're the OG of Pillow. I know I may not have answered that question. You were like the bands and the scene. I guess it was the bands that influenced me to really to start my own. I've always wanted to.
You were very active recently because Blue Channel is coming out. When we're recording this, they're coming out in a couple days, and you were like super stoked on that.
Yes.
And in their interview, when I'm talking to them, spoiler alert for you, because you haven't heard it yet, but like I asked them, I said, what part of the scene were you guys really into? It sounded like they were focused on playing clubs a lot more, and they talked about Love Sexy, which I don't know. I think there's other interviews where someone has mentioned that club, but I don't remember ever hearing about that club. And I mean, obviously it's recent because I just did the edit for them, so that's like top of mind that I'm aware of it. But like there was a lot of clubby shows in Jersey, and then there was the local shows in Jersey. So for you,
right?
Yeah. So like it sounds like in the beginning.
We started the club scene, yeah, for sure.
Yes. So why were you going to those shows instead of local shows?
I don't know, because I maybe I just hadn't tapped into the local scene, and like, or our, if you will, mindset was that we have to play Kenny's Castaways, we have to play CBGBs, we have to play Wetlands, like all those venues we played. We played every venue in Manhattan. We played venues in Jersey City. We played venues everywhere, Hoboken, like anywhere we could. So our main goal was kind of a broader audience. And again, I guess I really wasn't too familiar with the underground scene. Like to me, Maxwell's was an underground scene. I guess I really didn't realize that there was even a more underground scene. For us, we were really trying to go somewhere. And so we felt, hey, not that the underground scene wasn't going anywhere. I hope that please don't take that the wrong way. What I'm saying is that,
I did. I took a totally get
or
it.
even like, we used to play the Loop Lounge. We played, oh my God, you know who I thought of too? What was that other place in Clifton? God, that was such a great place. And those guys were so good to us. I guess that's what we knew, and that's where everybody was playing. When you open up the Aquarian, you're like, okay, this is where they're playing. Also, the Jersey Shore. I mean, we played all those clubs down the Jersey Shore. I can't even remember off the top of my head. It'll come to me, but I mean, all those gigs. So I guess if those were clubs, I don't necessarily
Yeah, I mean,
know.
a club was basically a place that had a bar
Okay, sure.
and a stage and lights. That's like my definition of it. Even though, what was it? What was the place in Montclair? Was it Montclair? Yeah, it got really popular in the early 2000s for a minute. God damn it. It's been said so many times in this podcast. Oh, Bloomfield Cafe. So,
Okay.
Bloomfield Cafe, though, didn't have a bar. You ever go there?
No.
Okay. This was like more right in the beginning of 2000s. I think it's when that club started coming out. And that's when the scene shifted, and that was when Mike Chem was starting to break, and all of those bands that went on, and like the Taking Back Sunday kind of bands, or like more like what would be the word? The fashion core punk bands started kind of going, like they would play there, or that place, fucking South Jersey. Anyway, my definition of a club is a bar and a stage with lights.
Right.
That's what I think. So like there was a big difference between that, and granted, Wayne Firehouse had a stage and just overhead lights, but I think there was a different. There might have been a bar. No, it was a Firehouse, so they wouldn't have had a bar there unless it was like hidden. But there was a different vibe though, because the clubs, I always thought, like, did you ever like playing the city? Because I thought that's playing the city fucking blew.
I mean, for what it's worth, it's great to say, hey, we played the city, I guess. The problem with that is you kind of had to play on the right bill with the right bands and who were bringing people. And we tried to bring people. And it was definitely a lot more stressful,
Yeah.
if you will, because then you wind up playing to like three people and you've dragged all your gear, from like fucking Butler to the city. You can't park, you can't do this, you make no money, and you're like, okay, why did I do this? You get home at like 4 a.m. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It wasn't my fate to do.
There's like a certain aspect of people, like I can look back at that time and say like I clearly know why I hated going to the city, unless I was going there to see Face to Face, Get Up Kids, At the Drive-In, Jimmy Eat World. Like there was a reason to go to those shows because they were touring bands,
Sure.
and it'd be a blast. You go to Roseland, it'd be packed with For Less Than Jake. But going there to play as a band, I just remember showing up and thinking the first time I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. We've made it." And then we play. I was like, "Dude, it's like 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. We just drove in here. We had to find parking and we had to lug our shit in. This sucks." Yeah, it was awful.
Well, it's we used to look at it as like, an extra night of practice.
Yeah, that's true.
Not a band practice.
I think I remember that being a thing with bands. They were like, "Well, we're just getting this is basically practice in front of people right now, like just for the real show." Even though, I mean, technically, if that's kind of shitty for the people that they paid money to see you. They're just kind of like, really? Because I guess I don't matter. You're like, no, wait, sorry. Sorry, three people that came all the way from New Jersey to watch us play. Whoops.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so when I'm thinking of like clubs down the shore, I'm thinking of like the Saint. We used to play there a lot.
Okay.
The Brighton Bar, we used to play that place a lot. We were in two different scenes. Before we were like, say, in the Jersey kind of punk scene, we were kind of in that Jersey Shore sort of scene. So we played with, and we were also in the New Brunswick scene. I mean, we were everywhere. I mean, listen, talk to John Kohler, talk to Al from X Number 5. They've known us for a long time, and we played, oh my God, that Melody Bar almost like every other weekend. So we were like well into all that before we did the punk scene that we're talking about now.
How did you get involved in that? It could be so when Pillow starts, you're playing shows in. You guys are playing shows. You're doing the club thing. Like, what year did Pillow start, and when did you start playing shows?
I want to say like circa 1996, 97. I think we started in 96. We probably started playing shows in 97.
And you mentioned Butler real quick. Did you grow up in Butler?
I did not, but
Oh.
I tell everybody I did because I feel like I did. Butler was where our studio is. It's still there. And
Really?
yeah, we still have it.
Wait. Okay, hold on. Two things there. Are you guys still playing?
Well, I mean, okay, so pre-COVID, my drummer and I, even though my guitar, Steve and I have always maintained a wonderful friendship, Glenn, the drummer, and I pretty much were together almost every weekend. And so what we do is that all our shit is at the studio. Even though we weren't like really playing, we would play. Sometimes we would have Steve with us. Sometimes we would have like a guest bass player or another. There's always musicians around. So we're always writing and creating. And so that'll be another piece of the pie, that we have other tunes that hopefully we'll be releasing soon. Yeah, we play all the time. I mean, it's been almost a year at this point, and the only reason why is because of COVID. So we haven't been able to get together. We do shows almost every weekend just to a select group of people, if you will.
Really? So you
Yeah.
never. So I mean, that kind of fast forwards to typically like towards the end, but you guys obviously never broke up then.
No, never. No.
And you had the same practice space since the 90s?
Since 1994, maybe.
Is there like what is it when rent doesn't go up? What is
Oh,
that?
it's like oh God, I know what you're talking
Rent
about.
control, rent control.
Yeah.
Is there
Well,
rent control in the place? Like you're still paying like $200 a month or something on this
I think
place?
it was 400 back in the day, and I remember that being like, oh my God. And it was so funny because we sublet. When I owned it or rented it, was under my name for quite a while, and I used to sublet to like two other bands. One of them was LMA, actually, Craig Cirinelli's band at the time. And so LMA would take a couple of nights a week, and we would take a couple of nights, but we always had the weekend because, we always wanted to put on shows. We always wanted to party. We always wanted to practice till, 4 o'clock in the morning. And so we did that. But and I can't remember, there was some death metal hardcore band. I don't even know how the hell I hooked up with these guys, but I was like, you want to rent some space? And they practiced like, I think 1 night a week or something. They gave me some money. Yeah, it's still there now. We're still there.
Where in Butler? Is that off of 23? I grew up in Jefferson, so I know Butler.
Okay,
I
so
could drive through it all the time.
It's the Rubber Mill. You know where it's Ramstein? You know where the beer place is?
Yeah, that's on 23, right?
Well, okay, it's not on 23. So it's literally like if you go into the town of Butler,
Yeah.
and it's almost like you're going to Bloomingdale, and it's kind of like there's those railroad tracks. There's the train that kind of goes through Butler.
Yeah.
It's right in that industrial space, and it's called I guess they call it the Rubber Mill. There must be some kind of factory. There's a big factory there, but there's also Ramstein, which is that brew place. It's not a bar, but it's just a brewery. And then every once in a while they'll open it up and you can like go in and drink beer and have snacks. You know what I'm saying? That kind of gig. That's right there. It's right in the center of town.
Okay. I grew up, we used to go to Butler Bowl and the Burger King there. I'm not in Jersey anymore. Like I moved down to North Carolina like 6 years ago, so I haven't even driven that road in fucking.
All right, the Butler
ever.
Diner?
No, isn't that like Butler Bowl? The bowling alley.
But I don't think I ever remember seeing a bowling alley in Butler. I swear to God, where was that?
It was like right when you're going. Sorry, for everyone listening. That we're gonna talk about like geography the whole time and like places, but like when I would leave Jefferson, I would take 23 down to Wayne, and every time I went through Butler, on the left was always the Burger King.
Oh, you're talking like physically on the highway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we're not on the highway. I guess there would have been a bowling alley. We don't know. We're like in the nestling.
You didn't know where fucking Butler Bowl was? Like it was.
I wasn't bowling at the time.
I know, but you'd always see it on your right. Whatever. All right. It was always there, and it closed down. I think it was like I don't know, some shopping centers there. All right. So I had mentioned to you when we were talking before we did the interview that I think one of the last shows that my band played was with you guys, and this was like right when Brian, who was in our band, was going to quit. And we played the show. And I could swear we played I have no fucking clue where this was, but I know that was it. But like I'd always heard of you, but I never remember seeing you at a lot of local shows, like Legion Hall shows. It sounds like you stayed more in the clubs then. You didn't really play a lot of local shows.
I have the answer. I have the answer. The reason we got into the local scene was my dear friend Annie from Puncture Point Records, and I think once we hooked up, she started booking all those gigs for us. And that's how that happened. Because we were in the club scene. And then I met Annie at the Palace. And she was at a merch table. And I don't even know why I walked up to her and started talking to her. The Palace was crowded. We were playing a gig that night. Chris Babb, I think, knew her.
Okay.
Yeah. And so maybe he introduced me. And then Annie and I kind of hit it off. And we're still friends now. She was like actually in my wedding. She's like, I was just at her house last weekend. Puncture Point Annie.
I don't remember Puncture Point Records.
You don't remember them? So she had all those records out with LWL and oh God, I can't remember. I mean, I have all her merch in my garage, and she also put us in the studio and made a record for us, The Situations and Circumstances. Then she would get us all these gigs at the local scene, which was something that we weren't really involved in. I guess we just didn't know about it. And that's kind of how we broke into it.
Well, what was like your goal of the band? I mean, it sounds like you were going to shows, you wanted to start playing. Like, how serious were you or not serious were you about making the band go somewhere?
Looking back at it now, it's so ridiculous when I think about when you're young and you have all these insecurities, and then you get older and you're like, why did I ever feel like that? Who gives a fuck? You know, like I wish I would have had more of the attitude I have now then. I think I was always second guessing myself. Yes, we wanted to do something. We were really, but I just don't know how invested everybody was. I think that we could have pushed more. I could have been more of a driving force. I was the driving force. And I think they all hung around just because of me, because I was so enthusiastic and I was so positive. And I was like, oh, we're going to do this and it's going to be great. And most of the feedback, if not all of it that we received was, good. We just never, I think we could have just been a little bit more dedicated. I mean, I know I was, but I guess it gets hard. But yeah, our goal was to do something. I mean, we played the Warp Tour. Well, we played the Warp Tour once. We did that.
Was that like for the whole Ernie Ball thing, or did you get booked on it? There was like either back in the day, either you won a spot or you
No,
got booked.
we won one spot in Asbury. So we played the local stage in Asbury.
Was it the same year that Humble played? Do you remember this?
I don't, but Chris Babs would, and that answer might be yes.
Okay.
If I had to take a guess, I think it was 2000.
Okay, so that was not, I think, the time that they played there. Yeah, I totally forgot. I do remember that local bands used to be able to win a spot and get the local stage. Like, so when you did that, were you one of the bands that played super early? Were you in the afternoon? Like, when'd you play?
I don't know, probably sometime 4 o'clock.
So it didn't really. So it sounds like it really wasn't that much of an impact on your life when you played, because everyone's like, "Oh, you played the Warped Tour." You're like, I just couldn't even fucking remember. It really did. I didn't give a shit.
I mean, there's a shit ton of people there. I'll tell you, like that was probably one of the biggest crowds I've ever played to, quite frankly. It wasn't like, I mean, and it was, and take it from someone who's been going to the Warp Tour since like the first year. It was a pretty good stage. Like it was big. You were out there. Like it was not. Now I'll share with you that we never broke up, but I did start another band called In Between Stars, and that was with a really great group of guys. We also won a spot on the Warp Tour. We played the local stage, and that was kind of crappy. Like we were kind of like pushed in a corner, and it was like, the stage was like low to the ground. When we played with Pillow, we were like on a big ass stage. I mean, it was, high off the ground, and that was pretty cool. I have to say that was probably, aside from, oh God, the Hard Rock Cafe, that was probably one of the best gigs we ever played.
So like, how were you matching your time with the band? Were you going to school? Were you working and like not going to school? Because usually people I talk to, some of the bands were like, yeah, we were all in, we quit school, that was all we did was the band. And some people were like, well, I don't know, we were kind of half our time was X, and then we did the band, so that was one of the things why it didn't push us to go as far as maybe we wanted to.
Well, yeah, I was in school for sure, and I was working, so I had both. I don't know. I needed money. Like I had to do what I had to do. I had student loans at the time, so I wasn't really worried about school, but I had my own apartment. I had a studio to pay for, I had a car. And my certainly playing gigs wasn't paying for it, so I needed to do something. So unfortunately, aside from being homeless, that was like and I certainly was not about to do that. So, I had to have a job. I don't necessarily know if that interfered, really. I mean, yeah, I guess it took time out of my day, but I was also able to, it wasn't really a job that was anything that was career worthy. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm going to my job on Wall Street by day and rocker by night.
Well, that's what you are now, though, besides the Wall Street part.
Well,
Like
perhaps.
you have a
Well,
good career, and then you're just rocking out in the studio when it's not COVID.
Oh yeah, people can't believe it. They laugh. They just have no idea how insane I used to be. They really don't. And I love that. I really do love that, to surprise people and be like, yeah, man, I was in a rock band for a really long time. They're like, you were? I was like, yeah. Yeah. Back in the day, I used to play bass. I was the bass player in the band before we had a bass player.
Wait, so I thought Pillow was always a three-piece.
No, we were a 5-piece band.
Okay, see, again, there's like nothing out there. All I have to go after is maybe that one time we played together, your songs that are on SoundCloud for the JPP archive, and there's a video of you playing in 1998 in Connections.
Okay, please,
have you seen that?
Never watch that again. Never. Do I have like overalls on?
Uh-huh, I have it up right now.
No, please don't. There are other videos that I can share with you that are just so much more.
Are they on YouTube?
I think so. There is one that are so much more representational of, that was like literally, I don't even know what that was. That was a disaster. And I don't even know why there was only 3 of us. I'm trying to think, like literally, I don't even know who that drummer was. That wasn't even Glenn. That's like some.
Well, you should thank Trouble Tux as this person's account for putting this video up there. All they have, let's see, they don't really have a lot of videos up. It's like Social Distortion, Bitch Pudding Uncensored. I have no idea what the fuck that is.
All right, hold on. Google this now and see if I could.
Wow, I got Sam I Am, Fugazi. Yeah, you guys are up there with where the hell is your video on here? Wilco. It's a Wilco in '95.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you're part of the mix, man. It's like all these bands. I got Pillow on here, Social Distortion.
All right,
You made it to
can't
the
you
big
find?
time.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why can't you find Pillow on YouTube? Vegas Baby live at the Palace, 1999. That's the video you should be watching, not that travesty.
Oh, there we go. Vegas Be Live, Palace '99. Yep, there you go.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, again, everyone's be like, I can't believe you didn't know they were a fucking 5-piece. It's like, all right, my bad. My bad, everyone.
That's the lineup.
I didn't like the Palace. We played there one time, and it like, A, the stairs sucked, and then B, I just didn't really
I
fucking
don't
like that
remember the
place.
stairs. There were stairs?
Yeah, it was like this giant staircase to get upstairs. That's what I remembered.
Listen, why don't you try playing the Melody Bar? We had to climb and drag shit up a fire escape, okay? A fire escape. You know what that's like, dragging a fucking amp up a fire escape?
Oh, I did. No, we played there. Oh no, we played there. That sucked. No, we actually had the stairs at that point where we went upstairs, and then that upstairs room was like the size of a fucking closet, which was so. I was just so blown away when I learned that Lifetime played their last show there. I was like, how the hell you guys played in like a 500 square foot room as your last show?
Because the Melody Bar is or was fucking awesome. It was the best place to be. The best place to be. X number 5 was like all over that place, and I mean the bands that used to come through there were amazing. I tell you, it was the best place to play. We loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
I think it was because I didn't like playing there at that time because I turned 21 right at pretty much going into the last year of our band. So I never went to club shows because I wasn't 21. Also, I looked super young and I was never gonna have a fake ID because that was never gonna work. So I was just like, all right, I wasn't like big into getting into bars and stuff before I was 21. And then when I was 21, that's when I was pretty much like out of the scene and
Gotcha.
yeah, I never got to witness going to the Melody Bar or oh my God, Brighton Bar, was that it?
Yeah, the Brighton Bar, that's in Asbury.
Yeah, like I never went there until later on 2000 when the scene sucked and I was trying like another band. We'd play a show there and then we were drinking. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But like back in the day, to see bands play and have some beers, like that seems like that would have been
Well,
way
okay,
cooler.
so I'll give you that. It was definitely, that scene was definitely early 90s for sure. 94, 95, 96, and 97. So by the time the late 90s were coming in, I think that whole scene was kind of like maybe a little later, but like definitely by 2000, that scene was completely over. Like
Oh yeah,
completely.
that was
Yeah,
totally over.
for sure.
What did you think about that? Well, like, were you because you guys never broke up and you're still playing, but like when that again, I'm gonna jump back and talk about situations and circumstances and recording that and like labels and things that or maybe comps you're on. But when that transition happened, at what point did Pillow just start to not play out so much and kind of just go, the scene? It's like, was it due to the scene changing, or were you already kind of just stepping out of it, being like, I just really don't have enough time to be putting effort into this right now?
Definitely the scene changing was a huge bummer for sure. Again, I don't know how to put it into words. It was just such a great, and again, before the punk scene, like before like firehouse shows and things of that nature, like being in that Jersey club scene, it was very similar to the punk scene because everybody knew everybody who knew everybody, and we played all together and we all got on the same bills together. And then when that slowly started to kind of deteriorate, like Maxwell started to go, close up, it was just sad. It was just sad because it was almost like the death of independent music. You're just like, wow, like where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And regardless of how much you would go see a band and you're like, oh my God, they're so much better than me, or oh my God, they're freaking awesome, and blah, blah, blah. I have to say it was always a supportive scene. There was not really a lot of bullshit that went on. Everybody was pretty supportive of one another, and they would hook you up and you would always have a good time. And it was just a great place to be.
Who's like a band that you would play with a lot that became kind of the buddy band? Like some bands out there, we would play with Humble a lot, and that was always like, oh, this is so cool. We're gonna play with the show with Humble, or we would see them as, and I've said this a couple times on their interviews, like when they would do something or write an awesome song, we were like, fuck, we got to step it up. Like, did you guys have a band like that where it was kind of, you saw it in the same way?
Trying to think about this. I'm trying to think about it. A buddy band. I wish there was another female band, but there really weren't a lot out there at the time. A buddy band. No, I don't know. Probably, I have to think about that. We were friendly with everybody, but I mean, and again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Were people really wanting to be paired with Christina Toast? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's kind of like, all alone in that world.
Wait, what do you mean?
No, I'm just saying in the music scene, there weren't a lot of like female fronted bands. I think at that time, particularly in the punk scene, I felt a little bit alone in having other bands like me. It was very male dominated.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, was that kind of, did it take a little wind out of your sails that you'd show up and there wasn't a lot of female bands, or you were just kind of like, oh, there's really no other female like fronted bands? Or
it definitely wasn't anything that was anything really. I mean, it was just, if I'm just making like an observation, but it was certainly nothing that affected me negatively for sure.
So like, talk about when you guys recorded, how many albums did you actually put out? Because I'm seeing it looks like a demo and then you have an EP.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, we were working on a full-length album, which I'm hoping that we'll have out at some point. Again, I think we were just a little lax in that area. We had tons of songs, don't get me wrong. We just didn't friggin' record them.
Why?
I don't know. I could kick myself. I don't know why. I don't. Here's the interesting thing. So these other songs that I speak of, they're all recorded. I mean, and right now the only thing I really need to do is kind of go over and finish up vocals. There's scratch vocals. Interestingly enough, I think we even recorded before Chris moved to the Philippines. So, there's that. I mean, that's easy enough to do. Again, with COVID, it's put such not that obviously 1 year isn't going to make a difference of the 10 years that we stopped doing anything, but, it's been something that's really been on our mind. And so ever since even this new connection, I reached out to Glenn and I was like, hey, listen, we have to finish this. And he's like, absolutely. So, we kind of reached out to our connection and he's on board with finishing it. And so, we just got to move in the right direction, I guess.
So,
hopefully.
Wait, when did you officially stop playing so much?
I want to say like 2005.
Okay, so that's way more than 10 years of not playing the show. Because I mean, the last record you have, like, what came out first? There's Situations and Circumstances that's on this page, and then there's this 3-song. It's got Happy Van.
Yeah, that's
Love
that's
Story,
before.
Vegas Baby Vegas.
Yeah, that's before. That's probably in 98.
Okay, because that, I think if you look at the cover, yeah, Last Day of the Year EP.
Yeah.
And then you have God, it started playing. Situations and Circumstances. So, Situations and Circumstances, the last thing you actually put out.
Right.
What year was that? You said like 99?
No, that was like 2000, 2001, something like that. Long time ago.
So
Yeah.
who put that out again?
Annie from Puncture Point Records.
So how'd that come about, and where'd you record, and kind of talk about that?
Yeah, sure. We recorded with Chris Badami.
Oh, okay. Portrait, yeah.
Yeah.
So was it the Portrait? Was this when he was in the garage or the bigger studio?
Oh God. Because I was in both. Because I actually did vocals for not LMA. I don't even know what they were called at the time, not too long ago. And I was in the big studio. And that was probably at this point like 7 years ago. Probably the garage. It's probably in the garage.
Okay. Yeah, because I think 2000 he was still in the garage and before he moved to his first big studio, and I think he's in another bigger one. He moved to another bigger one now, like a barn or something. But okay, so you get hooked up the label. How did that come about?
Again, I think I just met her at the Palace through Chris. And I must have given her the EP. We played also that night. So she was working a merch table for her because she had, oh my God, she had a compilation out, I believe, at the time with all bands and stuff on it. So she would just kind of go to all the shows and try to sell her records and all her merch that she had. Like I said, Chris, I think, introduced me to her. I gave her my EP and then we played and then she kind of contacted us and I guess the rest is history. She actually came to the Butler studio. We were doing a show and I believe, oh God, I don't know if Blue Channel was playing with us. I see. I hate to say that they were a go-to band because they really weren't. But Brian and I were friendly. We hung around together for quite some time. But I don't know about playing together on shows all the time. We kind of really didn't do that all that much.
Okay, real quick, and
Yeah.
we can leave this out, but
No, I know what you're saying. I know what you're going to say because I know I've talked to Brian already.
do you want to tell that story? Is it like such a bad story, or is he blown out of proportion?
Here's the thing, and I'll tell it to you, and then we can decide how we want to like kind of move forward with that. But like, look, so we had a show, and we used to put shows on at the Butler Studio. We beer, we used to charge admission. I don't even know what the hell we used to do. I mean, it was great. We had a good time. Pillow played, Blue Channel was playing. I don't even know who played. Someone else played. I
I
truly
think he
can't.
said Penfold played.
No, I don't think that was the Penfold night. I really don't.
Okay, but the Penfold night, I think, was the story he was referencing.
Well, it might. Okay, I know the bathroom. Whether it was Penfold or not, that I can't remember. And the interesting thing is, I actually have that whole show on video, and you could see shit going down in the background. It's so funny. Oh, it's not funny. It's not so mad. I was so mad at him. But, and there's so much shit went down that night. It was horrible. It was just horrible. But I'm losing my voice now. We're playing, okay? We're playing. And I feel like this was like also around like Y2K. I don't know. It was all just one big blur back then. And so, I'm not going to name any names. Maybe Brian did, but I am not. So someone who remain nameless went to use the bathroom. And back then there were two bathrooms, right? One on the left, one on the right. And so someone went into the bathroom on the right. And I don't know what happened, but all I know is we're playing, okay? And you see this sea of water, almost like a very mini tidal wave, come down the hallway because now the door's open, okay? And how we never got arrested, because we were so loud at the time. But the door was open to the actual studio because it was so loud in there. And so I see this sea of water, coming like down the hallway, and I'm like, oh my god. So that was in itself just a nightmare to have to like manage in the middle of all of this stuff that's going on. Allegedly, someone again broke our toilet bowl. And that's what happened. So we had to get in there, shut the water off, mop up the whole way. It was just a pain in the ass, truly. I mean,
Okay, see, I don't see why this is a story that he was afraid of. Even if they did, which he didn't tell me about it, like I don't understand why this is such a big deal. If that story had been told, this was 20 something years ago, and it was the broken toilet. Either way, I mean, it's not like unless someone was like getting up and jumping up and down on it, but if someone like naturally broke a toilet,
it wasn't naturally.
okay, that's why I'm thinking there's got to be more. Again, I don't have to dig for this, but
well, someone was apparently upset over something, and I don't know what. Because I think it was just way too many beers. I don't know what other substances might have been, if any. So don't quote me on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying back then anything would have been possible, right? Anybody could have been doing anything. And I think, people just got out of control, whether it was someone just being funny or being angry or just, what the fuck, I'm just going to break this just because I can sort of thing. That's kind of how it went down. And then at that point, no one really assumed responsibility for it, which was like another issue. Because we're like, dude, like if it's an accident, it's an accident. Who gives a shit? So it just turned into like a thing. I could care less about it now. And most of the band members can on my end. There is one band member who seems to harbor this for whatever reason. I don't know why, because he has no stake in any of it. It was my fucking studio. I had to replace the toilet bowl. I had to fix it. Brian and I go back and forth on this, and I told him I don't care,
yeah. Yeah, I think it's funny because like those guys, it was so interesting talking to them because I had said to them they were a really good band and no one really knew them, but they also didn't play out a lot. But it's funny in their conversation, they were like, it sounded like they got into so many they were just aggressive dudes like outside. There was like there's one story about this fight they started at college. There was this other story about this band when they're playing at the Palace and they got in a fight with. So it's just funny to me as bands who seem so quiet were like such aggressive guys. It's just hilarious that was just to find that out. It's such an interesting interview. It's like what I had so much fun listening to and editing it again. But I was just like I mean, obviously I didn't really know them back then, but I was so surprised when I heard these stories. I was like, wow, I would never have thought that.
Yeah, yeah. It is because they were, Chris, I think Bennett was more of the vocal piece. You know what I mean? Like whenever you wanted to talk, Chris would always talk with you. Brian was quiet. Jamie was quiet. I don't even know the other people in the band, honestly. I didn't even, and again, and again, Brian and I were friends. So, we had a close relationship. So that's why I knew him on a personal level. But yeah, they were definitely not
Chill.
outgoing. Yeah, they were outgoing. I mean, but they were aggressive is definitely, yeah, I'll go with that for sure. I'll second that motion.
Okay, we'll leave that there.
Okay.
So like recording situations and circumstances. Now, what I mean, again, like I just asked the question because there could be some really cool stories in that, but sometimes people are like, yeah, we just did an album, but like how long did you have how long did it take you to write that album, and then how long did it take you to record it? Do you remember?
No, but I don't think it was a long period of time. I'll be totally honest with you. That when you Google pillow and there's nothing to find, I think it's because we really didn't come to our what's the word I'm looking for? Our nucleus, we until like probably the very late 90s. So Steve and I were together for a very long time, but we always had like a band member here, a band member there, someone leaves, that's why we were in so many different scenes and kind of we didn't stay consistent. But like ever when we got right before we hooked up with Annie, it seemed that we had just found like the right mix. And that's when we recorded Situations and Circumstances. So it was me, Chris Babb, Troy Unteg, Glenn Pappas, Steve Whitner, right? And so once like those 5 pieces all came together, we were kind of just like a writing machine. And Chris really, Bab, was, Steve is an amazing rhythm guitar player, and he would always write this. He would always write the music, right? I would write the lyrics, and we would kind of do it together. When Chris joined the band, he is more of a lead guitar player and has like his own kind of style, where Steve is more rhythm and kind of, they complemented each other. And I think what happened was they kind of came together and we all started writing as a band, and it happened rather quickly. I don't know, maybe not even a year to get it all together.
How did you like going from playing bass to being a front person without an instrument to hide behind?
I actually felt freer, really. The only thing that
Yeah,
I
because you're
think,
kicking ass in this video, like you're going
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. That was like our heyday. So, I will say though, the only thing that I missed the most was when I played bass, I wrote a lot of the melodies. Like not melodies vocal wise, but music wise. So I would write songs on the bass, and that's where things would start. When I stopped playing, I kind of just stopped doing that, and I let Chris and Steve kind of take the reins on that. Because initially I would write, and then Steve, I'd say, okay, I have this. And then Steve would kind of come in and play rhythm over it. A lot of, initially it was just me and Steve. We would go out and play like, stupid open mics. We did everything together. I was happy to kind of get rid of it in that respect for sure.
So it sounds like for the way you ended that, right, that thought right there, it sounds like you like the direction that the sound went in after you stopped playing bass.
Oh, sure, sure. Definitely. Even better than what my writing was at the time, because I really, I was limited. So, to have somebody like Chris, to have Steve and even Troy, and the way we kind of all worked so well together, and Glenn by far is amazing. So we all kind of had an input on how we wanted the songs and the music to go. And, writing was really never difficult for us. It really wasn't. I mean, and I don't want to sound like, oh, I mean, obviously we have like, nothing recorded.
Well, apparently you do. It's not released.
Right. But, and even this is why I really, really wish that, or hope, and I keep my fingers crossed, and I am going to push as much as I can to get this other album out, because this is like such a different pillow. Like it's the same, but it's different. It's just definitely much more mature. musically and vocally, and I do think that it would be received well. Not to sound whatever, but I do feel that way. It would be great. I would be very happy to do that.
What are you gonna put it on? Just upload to Spotify, or did you want to put it on? I mean, pretty much the only options are definitely Spotify for people to listen to it
Oh,
online,
for
but
sure.
then some people will do a little investing and put it on vinyl.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. Is that necessary anymore? I mean, I guess, I don't know. No, I don't know about vinyl. I
It's more of
might
like
do
a
it.
fun thing if you're like that'd be kind of cool. I mean, did you have I mean, you had a physical release back then. It was on CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, some people back then were like they never like oh we never got a chance to put on vinyl, but some people were like you just said you're like I just really don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know. We were just having a lot of fun, really.
Where are we gonna go with this? Oh yeah, so recording at Padami's
It's always amazing. Yeah.
yeah I'm a
He's
man like
great.
I know like I felt like anyone who's recorded him just knows how fucking cool he is, but he put out really good stuff. And it was
Yeah.
always like it was never drama with him. And like, I guess if bands had drama, they'd bring it, but Chris like never. He was just so chill and be like, "Yeah, man," like I
What
don't
you're
know.
right. You're exactly right. Because I've been in studios with drama, and it sucks. Like it sucks, and it sucks the life out of you, and it sucks the life out of the whole experience. But Chris always provided like a great experience, and he's just very easygoing.
Oh fuck yeah, yeah. I mean, I even reached out to him recently. I was like, "Hey, there's old demos that another old band of ours did. Can you find them?" He's like, "Yeah." And after like a week later, he's like, "Yep, I found it. You want me to mix it or something?" He gave me like a really, really, really small rate, and I was like, "Yeah, totally." He's like, "All right, here you go." I was like, "Dude, you are the man." Like, yeah, he was so great, or he is so great. And so, did you guys ever actually? How you doing in time? We're an hour right now.
Yeah, I'm fine. Whatever.
Well, it's not like you fucking have
I got
anything to do.
COVID. I'm just sitting here in my. I'm like literally self isolating with my dog, so I have all night.
Are you literally staying in one room for 2 weeks?
I am. Yes.
Wow. God damn. That's great. I would have like kicked everyone else out of the house. I've been like, sorry.
Well, I almost did that, but honestly, I had a large bedroom, a master suite. I'm actually enjoying it, and I come out of quarantine on Friday, so I've made it this long. I really only have tomorrow, and then I could come out on Friday. It really hasn't been. I really didn't think I was going to make it. And particularly the fact that I've been like sober for 14 days, so like there's that.
Wow. That must be nice.
I know. I'm like, oh my God. I just really want a martini right now, so bad. But I will wait. I will wait.
Did you guys ever go on tour?
Not really.
Did you ever
No.
want to?
Yeah, I did. I think Glenn was always apprehensive. He was older and he kind of did that already in a band that, I mean, they did the whole gamut and they were pretty close to really being something substantial and it didn't work out. And I think as a result, he was slightly jaded in that respect, not in the music scene, but, just as far as touring and like giving up a career, we all would have done that. But, at the time, I don't know. Did it seem necessary? I don't know. I don't know.
Were you focused on other things? 'Cause I just remember again, like my viewpoint and reason why I get so interested in talking to other bands is because I remember what I thought and like what I thought I missed out on. And looking back, I'm like, I'm glad it didn't work out because there's no way I would have wanted to work out up into the where I'm living now, where I've seen bands that did have it work out and then it ended up stopping and they went right back into regular life. I look at it from that perspective. As soon as we were done playing, I was like, I'm fucking good. I don't care about doing this anymore. And some people are like, man, I'm bummed out that didn't really go anywhere. But it doesn't sound like, I mean, you
No,
never stopped playing, so
right.
you stayed with it for the right reasons.
Right, because we loved it. I hate to sound corny, but we really have a very deep love for one another. I mean, at least, it's unfortunate. It's not unfortunate that Chris is in the Philippines. Let me just rephrase that. He is very happy there. But if he wasn't in the Philippines, he would be here with us. So, it's me, Steve, and Glenn. We still do what we do because we love each other and we love what we do. That in itself brings me joy. I don't, I mean, granted, everybody's like, oh, pillow reunion, blah, 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 blah. I'm getting all that bullshit all the time. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ. All right, fine. Yeah, we could do it. We could do it because we could pull it off because you got the core. You got Toast, you got Glenn, you got Steve. That's really all you need. It's all you need. And the other two, even though Chris was definitely a pivotal part, like, we can work around that. And a bass player, we can get a bass player. That's no problem. So, like, if we wanted to do something live, I mean, it's doable. But really, we would probably just play in our studio and have all our old friends come there.
Honestly, I mean, I'll be honest, like that's pretty much the way to do it. Like when you add the stress on, 'cause it's like if someone hears this and they message you and they're like, "Oh, you have to put this on vinyl." That's like one person saying it, and then if you go through the trouble to do it, and then that person isn't guaranteed that they're going to buy it or that they're going to show up to this reunion show. So it's like there's real unless there was fucking hundreds of messages where people were like, "I would totally do it," then you're kind of like, "All right, there might be something here." But I think like it sounds like the more fun aspect would be if you did play it in your studio because like how many people can you fit in your space if you guys when you guys play?
Well, think about it. We played Penfold and Blue Channel. We fit a lot of people in there, maybe 100,
Holy shit.
maybe 75. Like it's a big fucking studio.
So
Like
is it
no.
like a stage on the in the studio?
No, it's just a big fucking space. And, right now, I don't know if we could fit that many people because there's so much shit in it. It's ridiculous. Back then it was full on just for bands and everybody had their own space. Like, I don't even know. I can't remember this band, whatever this guy's name was. He was cute. He had this like fucking grizzly beard and I don't know, just like death metal. It was funny. I can't remember his name. I think it was
Yeah,
like
to be a
Dave.
bit more specific.
I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. No idea. You would never know them from the scene. Never, never, never. I don't even know where I found these people from. But definitely LMA, we all had our space and you could very easily fit a whole bunch of people in there. I mean, like I said, we used to charge admission for God's sakes and do shows.
That's so cool.
It's crazy. But so like I definitely know that if we wanted to do like a reunion show or just stupid, let's not even call it a reunion show. It's ridiculous. Just a show in general. We could very easily, I mean, I know like so many people that I know would go up to Butler in a heartbeat, because so many people have such fond memories of that place. It was crazy. It was out of control.
Well, I think like that's gonna be the thing now, especially when one day when people are in crowds again, where I wouldn't say it's 100% safe. I don't know. I mean, pandemics have come and gone, so obviously the Spanish flu I think went away. I think. People are they're going to be so excited to see live music, and I think that's when bands who might have been on the fence of playing, they're going to see it more as a different. It's going to be we should do this because of the fact that we're able to do this, and so many
Right.
people are going to want to come out, and so many people are going to be so excited to show up, and there's going to be such a crazy energy when that shit
Yeah,
starts again.
for sure.
So it'd be kind of cool to be in the front of people and witnessing that, like them in front of you, being like, "Wow, we're supplying the soundtrack right now to this."
I know. Isn't that crazy? So, fingers crossed, maybe over the summer, Glenn is paranoid. I probably would have gone to the studio by now, obviously, because I have COVID. So I probably would have gone there with no mask and jammed, but he's like super crazy with that kind of stuff. So I have to really, and he's the one who's like in charge of it now. So I can't force him to go. So I have to wait for him to feel comfortable, I guess.
I'm so amazed that a studio from back then is still around. I just thought that
Yes.
everything from back in the day. I mean, is Backstage still around? Do you remember Backstage?
Oh God, I have no idea. Yes, I absolutely remember.
I want because like it's all I keep thinking about is that spot. And
But
there was
okay,
another
so
in Clifton
this is
too.
what you need to understand. It's not like that at all. It's not like your typical recording or I should say rehearsal studio. It's not. Okay, so so my ex-boyfriend Rob from the Well Curbs had this space. So back in the early 95, 96, we were dating. I went up to his space to see the band, rehearse because, that's what girlfriends do. And I was like, oh God, this is a bummer. I got to sit through this for an hour. But okay, that's fine. There's beer. So I watched them. And at that time, there were one, two, three, four, five rooms on this one floor. And they were just rooms, right? So they're just big rooms. And in these rooms, whoever, I can't remember the guy who owned the building, would rent them to bands at the time. And then slowly but surely, these bands started leaving. And so when Rob and his bandmates wound up getting a house together, and so they didn't want to pay rent anymore, and they wound up building like a studio in their basement or whatever it was. So instead of giving the space up, I took it. And so I'm like, if you don't want it, I'll take it. You know what I mean? So I took it. And since then, the only other studio was next door, and Glenn was there. I didn't know him yet. So what happened was, I think his band kind of all scattered, and he was left alone, and he didn't want to pay rent by himself. So he asked me if he could sublet in my space. And I was like, okay, like I kind of sort of know you through everyone around here. You're cool. You're not an axe murderer. So he comes in, and now it's Glenn, myself, and Steve in like this one big ass room. And that's where I started subletting. And then after some time, we said, you want to join our band? And Glenn said, oh, I guess so. And we started playing together, and, things just kind of happened over time, but everyone else left but us. So we could leave, I guess, if we want to, but they don't mind that we're there. They don't mind that bands are there. One band, every other place there, every other room now is taken by something else, like a metal shop or a computer space. Like it's just very,
So wild.
informal. It's just rooms, like really.
Yeah. But still, though, it's like, I don't know, just any entity that's been around for that long that just has a space where I don't know, maybe my perception of shit's stupid, but it seems like businesses or places, people that own spaces, it doesn't seem like it lasts that much long. Like, especially from like the 2000s on, it seems like ownership of a space kind of goes away, but the fact that like they're still there and that you're still able to just practice there, like that's got to be crazy. Like, do you feel like when you go in there and you're playing, like it just, I mean, I would say it brings you back, but I guess it wouldn't because it's been a consistent.
Well, yes and no. Totally brings me back, I mean, and it's a part of my life for, so many decades at this point. And I always think like there's going to be a time where I'm not going to go there anymore, and it kind of makes me super sad to think that,
Interesting.
And I kind of feel like that's almost happening now because of COVID. So I'm trying not to make this be the turning point for that. That's why I keep reaching out to Glenn. I'm like, I'm still here. We're getting together. I don't think you've gotten rid of me. Like I'm coming back. So yeah, I don't want it. I don't want it to end.
Do you have anything in the room that's like a poster or something written on a wall or something that's from back in the late 90s?
Oh, everything on there is like everything. I think there's like a poster of Kurt Cobain, Tori Amos. I don't even know, like the Deftones. All that shit is still there. Are you kidding me? Steve Whitner was hilarious because what he used to do is every year around the holidays, he loved Christmas lights. So he used to go into the studio and stay there till like 4 a.m. Would decorate the whole studio with all these Christmas lights, and then put put our band where our like little area was, like under all the Christmas lights. I mean, we would do shows and practice. We'd sleep there, we'd bring pajamas. It was crazy.
So like, when did you officially stop playing so much out like live?
I think 2005.
Why?
I don't know. I want to say 2005, maybe.
Well, you said that earlier, but there was really no reason.
Maybe a little later. I'm trying to think of like when was the official last show. I don't even remember. Why? I think everybody just kind of wanted to stop for a while.
But then when did you start? Because you never gave the space up. You've been playing since then. When that stopped, how long was it between that point and like, hey, do you guys want to get together? Like, okay, yeah, how long was that? And also, what was the reason to start playing again? Was the conversation, let's get this going again? Or did everyone just go, do you want to just play and not worry about playing a show?
Yeah, I think that was mostly it. Because like you said, even though we stopped playing out, we never stopped being together. So we were always together. So it really didn't stop. It just sort of was on pause, at least shows out anyway. But then, it would be, Glenn and I would be at the studio and all right, get Whitner on the phone. We're like, Whitner, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing nothing. I'm like, would you just come down? Like, we want to jam for a little while. He's like, all right, I'll come down. He'll come down. He jams for a little while. Whitner likes to go to bed early. Dear God, like he's 100. I'm like, whatever, Glenn and I'll stay there. Yeah, Glenn and I'll stay there till 3 a.m. We like to drink and hang out. Steve will have like 2 beers. Like, oh, I'm going home. I'm like, come on, man. I tell you a story about Whitner.
Sure.
I'll tell you this story. When I first met him, he didn't have ID. He was 21 or 3, or I don't even know how old he was when we met, but he was of legal age. But he really, this is just to show you about like how he used to lack enthusiasm for things. Like he wasn't a bummer by any stretch of the mile. Like if you push him, he'll go, but you need to push him. So like when he met me, you could see how this would be an instant attraction because all I did was like push, 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 push. I was like, oh, you're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're going to play this. You're going to play that. We're going to do this. We're going to play this show. Or like, like it was crazy. And so he never fought me on it. Like he loved it, but he was definitely not one to really be like super motivated to do it on his own. So when we first met, I said, all right, I got a gig. It's at the Melody Bar, Seething Gray. We're playing with X number 5. Like we're going, man, And he's like, I don't have a picture ID. I'm like, you don't have a fucking picture ID. What are you talking about? He had a driver's license with no picture on it. Who the fuck? What are you, 90? I said, who has a picture? Who has an ID with no picture on it? So I'm like, you got to be shitting me. He's like, oh, I'm not going to get into the bar. I'm like, dude, no. No. I had to take him to the fucking motor vehicle and make him take a picture so he can get into the Melody Bar. Because he said to me, I didn't think I'd need it. I didn't think I'd go to a bar. I said, you're 21. I don't understand how you wouldn't think you're going to a bar. I had about 50 fake IDs. Okay.
How that like came standard with getting a license was a picture ID, right?
I don't know. Maybe he was able to mail it in circa 1995. I don't know what you were able to do back then, but I mean, I don't know. I always had a picture. I had a picture since I had my license.
Yeah, I got mine in Randolph, DMV or whatever.
He literally had no picture on his ID because he said he didn't think he'd need it. Okay?
Amazing.
Fucking laid back Steve is. I'm like, no, you got hooked up with the wrong girl.
Thank God for you.
I know. I told
him. Now he's been an alcoholic ever since.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's like that Simpsons episode where Homer's in college with Barney and he's like all sober and like studying and Homer comes in, he's like, hey, let's get some beer. He's like, I don't know, I have to study for this. He's like, just have one beer. And then he's just like on the floor with like 20 beers later and just that's exactly his life.
Right. That is exactly
on.
Right. And I got to tell you, it used to be like, if you remember the Melody Bar, there was downstairs floor, right? And then upstairs is where they had the bands play.
Yeah, upstairs was the closet.
Right. Like, so downstairs they had that kind of like dance floor off to the side. You remember that? Like on
I remember the center bar because it's also in Lifetime's Jersey's Best Dancers, like the liner notes or the picture is that bar, the center bar.
So there's the center bar, and then you go around to the right, and then you would go up that stairwell to kind of go to that second floor. Mm-hmm. If you're going up the stairwell to the left, there was a dance floor, like almost, I don't want to say underneath, but kind of like to the side.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that.
Okay. And so that used to be like this fucking trance music. I don't know what the fuck they used to play back then. And then every once in a while they'd slip in like some Smells Like Teen Spirit or just some Deftones or whatever it was. Nice. And I would find Steve down there, the guy with no picture and didn't need the ID, down there hammered, like in some mosh pit. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing down there? Like I would have to grab him before he'd get his ass kicked, and I would bring him back upstairs. I'm like, dude, this isn't your scene down here, man. You got to come back upstairs.
You're like, there's only 2 other people. What are you doing?
Well, it was packed. That dance floor was packed.
When did Melody Bar officially close? Was that like 2001? 2000?
I don't know. Very sad. Very sad.
I'm bummed I never got to like I went to Court Tavern once, got to play there, and
we played.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned before, you guys have played Wetlands, and I remember playing Jimmy Eat World played there with Promise Ring one time, and at the drive-in. Were you a Jimmy Eat World fan at all?
Oh my God, yes.
Did you ever see So Jimmy Eat World played a show there with Promise Ring. Oh no, yeah, they played a show there with Promise Ring. And remember when like Jimmy Eat World ended up being late to the show because they went to Jersey to see Jets to Brazil play. Were you at that show?
Oh my God.
It's like,
I don't know.
Jets to Brazil had just formed.
Oh, I remember that band. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jim and the bassist, I think, drove to Jersey and they got stuck in traffic coming back to the club. This one I'm talking
Oh my
about.
God.
And the club was like, yeah. So they get on stage, they're like, so we're late and we only get 6 songs. And everyone was just so fucking mad. It was like,
Oh
fuck.
my God.
Yeah, but that was this is the club where they played at. God, oh my God, this is crazy. Well, we played there, and I remember like playing there, and I was like, this fucking blows. And then I remember playing Court Tavern years later, and I was like, this sucks. Like I never, but like Melody Bar, we played there, and that was like it was kind of packed, but I never like I always wanted to go there back in the day when it like we had mentioned earlier when the bar where I could have legally drank and would have drank and been at the Melody Bar during the time of like when New Brunswick was New Brunswick.
Oh, dude, John Kohler, was the bartender there from X number five. And we used to do shots. It was insane, insane. We had so much fun. He used to hook us up.
Was there a show that you saw there that was just incredible? That just like you're like, wow, my mind was blown. I can't believe I was at this show.
I don't know. I guess I can't remember. I was at so when I tell you that I used to go to like I literally have like an old school calendar which I will never throw away. It's like a little book. It's like got your calendar in there, like days of the month or whatever it is. And like I had a show every night, like at a show almost every single night. Like fuck the weekend. I was out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like when there was a show, I was there.
So it sounds like you don't remember some of these shows because you went to so many. You're like it's all meshed together.
Millions, 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 millions. And like I'm talking like, Maxwell's, like I said, like on a Tuesday night, Court Tavern, Melody Bar, like all down the shore. My God, Stone Pony, even the little clubs there. We used to like, we played there once too. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
What, Snow Pony?
Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
you said you played down the shore, I was like, you had to have played Stone Pony.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Do you
Yeah.
do you still go out prior to last year? Were you still frequenting like shows or like clubs and going to see
I
music all the
got
time?
my tickets. I was supposed to see the Alkaline Trio. I got those returned. Let's see, what else was I supposed to? Yeah, I mean, Face to Face. I've been seeing a lot of. I saw Emery, which is like one of my favorite bands, all time favorite bands ever. I saw them not too long ago. They showed up in Jersey, like random, like in Teaneck or something. I'm like, what? So I had to go to that one. I see Face to Face.
So you like legit just kept going.
Yeah, and listen, and the Get Up Kids, man. I go to every fucking Get Up Kids show you could possibly imagine.
What did you think of I'm gonna wrap this up soon, but what did you think of when they started to change to like what's that the record with On a Wire? Is that the name of the record?
Is that the Get Up Kids?
Yeah, it's where they started to get more kind of folky.
It's not terrible. I mean, it's not the sound that I love, but it's definitely not terrible. What are your thoughts?
I hate it. I think it's crap. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I didn't.
When they play, and I mean, I've seen them up into like literally right up into COVID. Like they don't play any of those songs. They play everything, all the songs we love, like all the good ones.
Yeah, man, no. Again, like I feel I kind of come down hard on the Get Up Kids in a lot of these interviews, and I don't hate I loved the Get Up Kids. There was just albums where I was like, hey, man, it just wasn't my thing, and it was people's
And
things, and
that's
that was
cool.
their sound. Like it's like I don't want to come across like I think when people talk shit about music, they literally get mad. I never got mad. I was just bummed because I think I always wanted 4 Minute Mile to be the consistent, which wasn't gonna
Yeah.
happen. But like Alkaline Trio. I loved them up until what was the one with the fucking there was some record they put out like the Warhol record or Andy Warhol song or something like that's where I started to go all right I'm kind of like
Like a tap out. You're tapping out.
yeah or like This Infection I think was one of them. I just kind of like I was like all right I think maybe I just grew out of it but the earlier stuff I was like damn man they just kept putting out records that I loved even though they changed and Crimson was so different but I
Sure.
stuck with it. I was like, dude, I still something about this I absolutely love. And there's just a point where like I don't think a band can put out 10 records or God, even sometimes 6 records where they can hold on to that because you're really listening to a lot of people just holding on to the nostalgia. And I think it's hard for a band to keep someone when they signed up for them 10 years prior and you're like, hey, we're going to create some brand new nostalgia for you. They're like, I don't know. I'm going to kind of connect it to a decade ago. That's all I want to hear. So when I go to see you play, you better fucking play those songs, or you're not gonna
It
fill
is
the
the truth.
club.
Yeah, it is the truth. It's hard. I know that. I'm trying to think of like some other recent shows. I saw Tool not too long ago. Believe it or not, they were fucking amazing.
Undertow is my favorite Tool album, and after that, it just started getting like too long and weird.
No, come on. You don't like the other one? What's the other one?
Lateralis.
Oh, come on, man.
I mean, there was well, what was the one with Stinkfist?
That's got to be Undertow. No?
No, it was under. I'm gonna
Are you sure? Oh, yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna look this up real quick. So I remember when that came out, I was so excited. That was Anema.
Yes.
I still can't even say it. I love. Yeah, that album I liked, but then it was like Lateralis and 10,000 Days, and there's like another one out. I just felt like they became just a harder version, just like a harder. I wouldn't say Fish, but just like a jam band like Fish. And I was like, I don't like
I know.
jam bands, man.
I saying like very progressive, like that progressive rock, which is like bores me. I hate it.
I
But
don't
I
want to
gotta tell
fucking.
you,
I don't want a 10-minute fucking song. I want like maybe 4 to 5 minutes if it kicks ass the whole time.
I know, but I gotta tell you, their music after all that whole whatever, you could really get lost in it, and it's fantastic. I mean, it really is fantastic.
I mean, musicianship wise, they're incredible.
Oh yeah,
I don't, but it's like the person who's really good at their instrument and they never had success. It's like, yeah, dude, no one wants to hear you fucking jam. Like, I don't know. That's just my take on it.
yep. I hear you. I hear you. So yeah, I'm trying to think of some other shows that I've been to. Yeah, I go to show. I mean, I saw Weezer. I go down to the Garden State Art Center every summer. Again, obviously not last summer, but the summer before that, I pretty much was like at a show a weekend down there.
Are you like looking for newer bands, or are you still just the older the bands that we knew? Is that the ones that you stick with going to see?
No, not necessarily. I'll go see new bands for sure, no doubt about it. When like an older band, like even Coheed and Cambria, like I'll go out and see them any day of the week. And I saw them not too long ago at the Garden State Art Center. So I mean, there was literally a point, again, not last summer, but the summer before that, I was probably in that parking lot drinking White Claws, probably like once a week.
I'm a truly man myself, but
I know. I'm like drinking White Claws, eating some kind of like sandwich, getting ready to go. Oh my God.
eating an artisanal tray of artisanal cheese and crackers.
Some charcuterie, yes, for sure. Let's bust out the charcuterie and claws. There you go. That's pre-gaming now, right? Is that like that's the pre-game? It's fun. It's so much fun. And music is just wonderful. And it just, so any type of it. But yes, I definitely are into a lot of new bands for sure. But whatever I see that comes up that I'm able to go to, I'll go to that, and whatever's easier, really, for the most part.
That's cool, man. I think a lot of people kind of gave up on doing the things like you. It sounded like you had a passion for that growing up, and you stuck with it because you loved it, and you're like, why would I stop
Yeah.
doing this?
Like we go to Brooklyn all the time. I drive fucking an hour to Brooklyn to go see shows. Are you kidding me? And you know what? Let me just give props to Type 11. I don't know if you know that band or ever heard of that. We were good friends with them, and we played with them a couple of times. I drive to the ends of the earth for that band, even though they are really not playing all that much anymore. There's a place in Brooklyn called St. Vitus. We go there a lot. I think Artie was bartending there for a while. He's like in a little bit of a heavy metal band, but he'll still like get the band together for Type 11. They'll do reunion shows. We're there constantly. So we're kind of always in the scene. Even if it's a little bit older now, we're still in the scene.
Is there anyone and I'm gonna wrap this up, but is there anyone you bump into now, like that you still were going to shows that you still see from shows like back in the day?
You mean I don't think so. I mean, Annie's like really the only person, but I'm friends with her. Like, so any other people in bands? Not really, unfortunately.
Again, I guess like I just love that the people who hold on to that, and they're like, because some people I keep hearing these excuses from. Like I've been talking to a couple people, or I'll listen to podcasts or people in their 40s or in like their early 40s, even their late 40s, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm an old person." I'm like, "What are you saying?"
No, that's
Like
bullshit. I'm
that's
never gonna be old.
I'm like, you're old because you're probably acting older and you're probably looking older if you say that and think it. Like I literally think that has an effect. That and
Yeah.
like a really poor diet, but I
Listen,
mean,
I don't care. I don't care I don't look old. I don't act old. Even if I am old, I'm still not going to look old. There's plastic surgery. I'll be getting some of that at some point. I don't give a shit, but I'm going out. I don't care if I'm 70.
I love it.
I will be at those shows because what else is there? Like, you have to make time. And even if you have kids, bring your kids if you can. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. That's the best part.
I think it's great.
That's the
Well,
best part.
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. It just, I mean, I was going to a couple shows here and there down here in North Carolina because there's Cat's Cradle is kind of a famous,
Okay.
yeah. Do you ever hear of it?
You know, it does sound familiar, believe it or not.
It's kind of where,
You're in North Carolina, you said?
yeah, like
Okay.
even Merge Records, Superchunk's label. I think their office is right down the street from where I live, and that's where they started. So they used to play at Cat's Cradle. And it's kind of like, what am I trying to think of? It's comparable to. It's got its own kind of thing. Like it's interesting because you can drive there. It's so easy to get to, and they have a free parking deck. So that's why I'm not able to compare it to another club in Jersey because it was such a pain in the ass.
I
But
know.
yeah, but it's got that feel of kind of like Maxwell's, like if it was 3 times bigger, I would say.
Do you go to see bands there?
Yeah, I was doing that for a while when I first moved here. Then obviously last year
Yeah, I know.
that
The
stopped.
whole
But
thing.
yeah, but yeah, I mean it's still cool to go see it. But like I have a different perspective because if I go, I'm sitting there drinking beers and I'm not jumping in the crowd. The only time I ever wanted to was I was watching Say Anything, and like they ended it with Every Man Needs a Molly or whatever that song is, and the whole place just like erupted. And it was that, and I saw Taking Back Sunday, and they played their latest album. This is like 2 years ago. They're like, we're gonna play beginning to end our brand new album. I look at my buddy, I was like, and then a friend that I moved down here, we grew up in Jersey together, well, in the scene together. We would bump into each other every 4 years in Jersey, and then when I was traveling, I was gonna looking for someplace to move, and he's like, "Yo, come to Raleigh." So it's cool because me and him have that old school mentality from remembering shows, and so we go to see Take It Back Sunday, and Adam says that. I look at my buddy, I was like, "Dude, fuck this shit." He's like, "Hold on, they might, come back out for an encore." They come back out for an encore, and they play so many of their hits from the back catalog, and the place went fucking ape shit. It was like
Oh,
the coolest
awesome.
shit. Yeah, like so it's cool to still witness that now.
For sure.
Well, I am gonna finish this up with my last 2 questions.
Sure.
And first one, what would you like to plug? It could be about yourself. It could be about a friend who's doing something. The floor is yours.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know if I have anything to plug, to be honest with you. Oh, well, I could plug my good friends Blue Channel and tell everybody to listen to their new record because I did extensively and I love it. I could plug for them. How's that?
That's perfect. That's actually really good.
I'll be a spokesperson. Listen to the new Blue Channel. Specifically, what songs did I pick out? I don't even know, but
All of
have
them.
them here somewhere. But do you have you have the titles? Hold on a second. I'm such a spaz.
We got At Your Expense is the intro, which is Brian said he didn't really like that song. He liked it from starting from Half Truths and Manipulations.
Oh, that's such a good song.
Yeah.
That is such a good song. Okay, that's a good one,
The
in my opinion.
Past Tense, Shut Off. I Thought You Were Someone Else.
Shut
Role
up.
playing.
Shut off. Amazing, 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 amazing.
Okay. Actually, I have to listen to that one again. Yeah,
That
it's
was
12 songs.
That's probably one of my favorite. That is my favorite.
So on Mint 400 Records too. Got to give Neil Sabatino a little plug there since he's been buying some ad space for some of these. So
Okay.
he put that out for them. And cool. All right, last question. What scene ethics do you hold on to this day?
Ethics? Good question. I don't know. I'm trying to think. How did other people answer this question? What do you think?
I mean, I think the way that I started asking this question in like episode 7, but I think it's more about like what punk rock ethics, but I think I kind of match it to the scene. So it's like what did you take from going to local shows back in the day that the ethical things or real life things that you embedded into what you do day to day now?
I mean, I guess again, I mean, I think I said it earlier about, it just being very supportive. and like people supporting one another in their endeavors and, what they believe in and really having an appreciation for what other people do. And so I think that can transcend itself into everyday life because, whether we're creating music or whether we're working at our jobs, most of us are creating something, right? So, I mean, I hope we are anyway, creating something. And so when people are being creative, whether it's in an academic environment, whether it's in a professional environment or a musical environment, it's important to listen and be supportive of one another. And I think that's like something that I took from that because really, I mean, I know we had touched on a little bit like me being like one of like, a few of the women, but it was never anything that ever made me feel different. It was just a supportive scene. I guess I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense to me.
All right.